Hello BookTube, it's Louise the Big Head Bookworm. Lovely to see you. Hope you are well. Hope you're having a good day. I have just recorded my final June video where I talk about the books that I've read in June. And so as everything's set up and I'm sat here, I thought, I shall show you some of the books that I've bought recently. I had a little wander down a high street and I went into lots of charity bookshops or charity shops, and also the library. The main library in Cambridge had filled up their book sale shelves. They don't have that many, actually. For such a big library, they don't actually get rid of that many books. Or if they do put them on sale, they go very quickly because they tend to be quite sparse. However, they'd filled them up, and the husband saw the tweet and tweeted me and so emailed me and said, look, get thee to the library and have a little wander. So I got some really good books, really good books, for like 50p or a pound. So I'm so pleased. But I just wanted to show you this book as well, which I picked up, which is Nevernight by Jay Kristoff. I was buying some books as a present and I could get one at half price for me. And I am cheeky, and I did. And so this is the one I got. I don't think I would have paid full price for it, and I have no idea what inspired me to pick it up, because it's been around BookTube quite a bit, and I've never been tempted to pick it up, even though I really liked Illuminae. Where is my copy of Illuminae? It's just over here. Illuminae by Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff, which is kind of science fiction done in a multimedia way. I really enjoyed it. I haven't read the second one, Gemina. I should get it. Let me just pop that there. Don't fall. I told it. So I thought, and it's fantasy, and it's about somebody going to an assassin school. And I don't know why. I hadn't heard anything particularly bad about it, but I'd never been tempted by it. But there it was, sat there, and I thought, I picked it up. I have since read it. It was the first book, second book that I finished in July, so I have already read it. So I wanted to show you it, because somehow there seems to be a rule in my head, and I know that other people have this as well, that I cannot wrap up a book or tell you I've read a book if I haven't already shown you it. So there I am. It's like a little kind of pact that we have between us. I will show you the books, and then I will read them. But I can't do it in any other way. But there we are. So I picked this up. And I read that, so I only finished it yesterday. So there we go. So I picked that up, but I got it at half price, which was good. So let me show you the books that I got from the library sale. I got Sarah MacLean's A Scot in the Dark. Fantastic. Scandal and Scoundrel one. I have to say, not keen on that cover. She looks a bit vacant to me, but I'm sure she's great. This is the second in the Sarah MacLean sensational new Scandal and Scoundrel series, which I seem to be unable to read. So I haven't read the first one. I have read a couple of novellas and at least one Sarah MacLean, and really enjoyed it. So they're Regency romances, tour de force of wit and romance, and I really like it. So I saw that for 50p, and I didn't know that the library actually had Sarah MacLean romances there, so I shall keep an eye out for that for when I want to get them, because otherwise I'm having to order them in, and they're a bit more pricey, although I order them in second hand. Don't order them in new, order them in second hand. But so for 50p, I was like, grand. And they're the kind of books that it doesn't actually matter if you read them out of order in a series. And then Eloisa James, which is the Duchess quartet. I have been reading her other quartet, which is the Happy Ever After series, which is the ones based on fairy tales. Again, Regency romances, but they're based on fairy tales. And then this is obviously a quartet, the Duchess quartet. So, again, I don't believe it will matter that I'm reading it out of order. But I saw it for 50p and I was like, wow, I've got to have it. So I got two romances. And again, I didn't know that my library had Eloisa James there. So that's really good. So I've got those two books. I am putting them aside straight away, and they will go on holiday with me. I know I don't go to holiday to the end of next month, but I am a girl that plans ahead for her holiday reading. I know holiday reading is not just grabbing anything. There is thought, there is consideration, there is planning, and there's a lot of anticipation, you see. So these were the other. So I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 books. So I spent about an hour wandering up and down this street, going into charity bookshops. And there were some shops, I walked in there and I'd look at the selection of books and I would know fairly quickly whether I was going to find anything. I think I do it so regularly now, I kind of know the kind of books they put out. If they put out certain books, it's not going to be my kind of books that they're going to think are going to sell. But if they're a bit more unusual, there are some books there that I've heard of, but I haven't seen. I kind of think, ooh, and I had some real great ones. I was so pleased with some of the books, and I know there are going to be books here that you're going to go, ooh, and you're going to be intrigued in. I know it, and I'm starting off with one. Salley Vickers, The Other Side of You. Now, I read, which I was talking about in a previous video just recently, wasn't I? Yes, you were, Louise. What was it? Mrs. Garnet's Angel. That was it. Mrs. Garnet's Angel, which I really, really loved. And then somebody else said that they were reading the another one of hers, The Cleaner of Chartres, wasn't it? And I thought, oh, I'll have a look for that and put it on my wish list. And then I saw this, The Other Side of You by Salley Vickers. Now, this is, one day a failed suicide is admitted to the care of psychiatrist. She's mysteriously reticent, and it's not until he recalls a painting by Caravaggio that she is moved to recount her story. So the previous book, Mrs. Garnet's Angel, was to do with the myth about the Bible story in Tobias, isn't it? I can't remember now, it's so long ago since I read it. But anyway, it was to do about angels, but it was to do with a biblical story about angels, funnily enough. Duh. So this is obviously based on a painting, and actually it has the painting there. So it's obviously she uses something as her kind of stimulus for the story. So I thought that sounds brilliant. So, I was like so chuffed when I saw that. That was an immediate one. I did well in that shop. I also picked up The Eyre Affair by Jasper Fforde. I know you just pronounce it Fforde, but I always like the Jasper Fforde. So I haven't read any Jasper Fforde. I don't tend to read many comic novels. As I previously mentioned, it's not particularly one that I'm that into. And it seems to be you either love Jasper Fforde or you loathe Jasper Fforde. So it's quite interesting to see which one I'm going to be in. So this is kind of a comic fantasy turn, I gather. I used to know somebody that loved him and could never understand why I hadn't read him. I used to say, have you not picked one up yet? And I go, no. She'd go, but why? But why? Like I was doing it to spite her, but I wasn't. I just hadn't picked it up. And now I have. I picked it up again. That was 50p. Oh, some bargains. Oh, I was pleased when I saw this. It's The Sugar Queen by Sarah Addison Allison. I had ordered in the Garden Spells, not The Garden Spells, just Garden Spells by Sarah Addison Allison, because quite a few romance readers had recommended it. It's kind of magical realism with romance, and it's all very lovely, set in North Carolina. And this is the second one, and I don't think it goes on. I don't think it might be set in the same town as the first one, as Garden Spells. But I saw this, but I've never seen them in bookshops before. I've only ever seen, I've had to order them in. So I was so pleased to see this. So there we go, The Sugar Queen by Sarah Addison. So kind of magical realism and romance. Lovely. I don't think that's a holiday read. Might be. The Interestings by Meg Wolitzer. Surely you've heard of it. Literary fiction. I don't know an awful lot about it. I am not really reading the back of it, but I've heard of Meg Wolitzer. I've seen lots of people talk about Meg Wolitzer and love her. So as I saw this for £1, I thought, okay, that's going to go on my shelf, and at some point I will be inspired to pick up Meg Wolitzer. Isn't it Books and Lala Really like Meg Wolitzer. So I thought that's going to be good. Toni Morrison, Song of Solomon. Oh, I have never read any Toni Morrison. I know. I'm a bad woman. I am a bad woman. I know the stories. I know the story of The Bluest Eye, and Beloved. I know the story of both of those, but I haven't actually read any. And I saw this, and I've been meaning to, and she keeps coming up as one of those authors you've got to read, and I just think I've got to read. They're really hard hitting, and I think you've got to be in a good mood for them. But then again, I just think, sod it, you need to grow up and just read it, Louise. That's what when I saw this, I had that kind of like the guilt, my Toni Morrison guilt, as I feel it, where I go, have I read any Toni Morrison? And she's there looking at me going, you haven't read me, and I'm a seminal author and you should read me. And now I've got one, so I've got no excuse. So I'm going to have to read that. This is a brute. This was my most expensive one, and it was for £2, and you'll understand why. The Once and Future King by T.H. White. It is the classic novel of King Arthur. It's actually 5 classic novels of King Arthur in one bind-up. So it has The Sword in the Stone, The Witch in the Wood, The Ill-Made Knight, The Candle in the Wind, and The Book of Merlin. I was looking at The Sword in the Stone in a bookshop, and I was thinking about buying it a couple of weeks ago. And I don't know why, it just suddenly, I think it may have been the cover design really drew me in. I thought, oh, do you know, I love an Arthurian tale. And then I saw this for £2. I'm neither that keen on reading bind-ups, because I kind of feel that I have to read all of them, and then it's kind of like 5 books in one, isn't it? But for £2, and it is such a fantastic tome, and at some point that's going to be such a satisfying read, I couldn't say no. Now, this was on a book that I had just put on my wish list, and then I saw it for £1. It is The Outrun by Amy Liptrot, and this is about when Amy Liptrot goes back home to Orkney. Finds herself washed up back home on Orkney, and she's made a bit of a piccolina of her life. She's 30 and she's got various addictions and what have you, and it's about the landscape of Orkney and the rhythm of the world there and the land there, and how I'm hoping how it heals her. I reckon it does. But it the Wainwright Prize, it was the winner of that. I think it was also somebody else mentioned it, but I remember thinking I really want to read this, put it on my wish list, and there I saw it. Wow, it's in beautiful condition and it's a gorgeous book. I was so pleased. I found this book for 99p. It is Frederica by Georgette. This is a Regency romance written in the 1965. This was written by Georgette. I have got quite a few of hers now. I've read quite a few of hers and I really like them. I love these editions that they're brought out. Who's brought it out? Eyre brought out these lovely editions, and so I picked that one up. And the last one that I have here is a crime book, because you'll have noticed there were no crime there. It is Out of Bounds by Val McDermid, and I got this for 99p as well. The Queen of Crime is still at the top of her game, and so it says. So this is I believe a standalone. I believe this is a standalone rather than in her other series, which began with, as I completely lose my train, The Mermaid Singing. Oh, she does quite a few. Well now, no, it's not a standalone. Looking at that, it's not a standalone. I led you astray. It'll be fine though. I'm sure it'll be fine to read it. So yes, The Outer Bounds by Val McDermid. I do like Val McDermid a lot. It's a good crime book. Again, could be a holiday book for me, that. Could be a holiday book for me. Because I know that I'm going to enjoy it. And sometimes you have to take books on holiday you know you're going to enjoy. But anyway, that's just me thinking out loud. And there we go. So I am going to do the bit where I show you. Oh, and I don't. Oh, look at that. Ooh. So, out of that gorgeous collection of books, I mean, stunningly, most of those were 50p. There was a couple that was about 3 were £1, and one was £2. Oh, what a selection! So yeah, so they'll go on my shelf to be picked off at random in the next however long it is. There's some really good ones there. Which one would you be tempted by? And on that note, I shall leave you. What's your last book that you've bought that you were so thrilled at the price you got it? Because I think that it's important to buy things at full price in bookshops, because I want to support bookshops and I want to support authors. And then I buy things on Tinternet because those are the ones that I can't find. And then I buy my charity bookshop. So I have quite a good selection of brand new ones that come in, and I go and have the pleasure of choosing them from a bookshop. And I hope to be able to take you with me sometime. That would be nice, wouldn't it? And then I have my charity bookshops, because I just, I'm finding interesting titles that I can be inspired by. I can be inspired by an interesting selection in a charity bookshop. And there we go, BookTube. I'm going to love you and leave them. This has been a pleasure. Let's do this again. Bye.